Lisa, please, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm delighted to be here today. I just want to give you a little known fact that actually before my guise as an arts marketer and now experienced designer, I used to run a heavy metal magazine. And then I decided to go into the arts and I specialised in arts marketing, and my tutor was Heather. So we go back 21 years and she taught me everything that I knew about arts marketing. So there's just a little known fact. So it's lovely that I'm sharing the stage with her today. Okay. I'm not very comfortable with speaking publicly, so I've got my words written down and I'm going to read them. I'm much better when I'm facilitating workshops because that's how I do my work, so do bear with me. And if I speak too quickly, which I also do, do something about it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I'd like to do today is to share a different perspective on audience development. And it follows on very nicely from what Heather's been saying. And the lens with which I want to view audience development is the audience experience. So what I'd like to do with the presentation today is to share with you why I think it's essential that we, as a sector, develop a strategic focus on the audience experience, argue the case for audience experience design as an audience development tool, talk you through some of the techniques used in the process, and then some of you who are coming to my workshop later will have a go at practicing them. And to begin with, I'd like to establish a very simple founding principle. That we're not just in the business of presenting the arts to audiences. We're also in the business of conceiving, designing and managing experiences for people. So I want to give you a little analogy to unpack this a little. Imagine a vase, a very simple vase on a little side table over here. What is the vase for? What is it for? Yes, it's for the flowers. To what end? For the flowers to live. What else? For decoration. What else? What's special about flowers? You can smell the flowers, exactly. So the vase in this context isn't an end in itself. The vase is a vehicle for the flowers so that you can appreciate the beauty, the aura, the colour, the smell of the flowers. So in that same vein, what is the purpose of art? There's lots of answers, but let's just go with me on this one. What's the purpose of art? More specifically, what is the purpose of not-for-profit, publicly funded art?
To say something about the world.
Good. What else?
Ask questions.
What else? What else?
Entertain.
What else?
We're supposed to give people experience they're not going to get anywhere else.
Exactly.
It's quite something unique.
Yeah. And I can do this what else for half an hour and you won't run out of words. Okay? And that's what's brilliant about the sector that we work in. So I would say that the purpose of not-for-profit, publicly funded arts is to deliver great experiences for human beings, feelings, emotions in the moment. And for those, in a lot of cases, to have a transformative impact, meaning, identity, belonging, developing personal value sets, identity. But as programmers, managers, and marketers of the arts, we tend to regard the art as the product. But it's not, because you cannot take it home with you. Just like the vase is a vehicle for the flowers and how you experience the flowers, the art is the vehicle for the experiences. And that is what people are buying with their time, their attention, and their money. So I would argue that our product, what we're actually here to market and develop audiences for, is not the art, it's the experience. Art is the vehicle, and our product line are experiences and impacts for the audiences and communities that we serve. And let's face it, we the audience, we're all complex, fascinating individuals. We've all had different life experiences, cultural upbringings, and social influences. And we are curating our life experiences in the continual process of being and becoming. Therefore, your art is not the center of their universe. Yours is just one of a range of offers that they're curating in the continual process of growing. And the arts trade in experiential currencies that are personal, social, collective, and universal. It deals in intangibles that operate at a subconscious level, feelings, emotions, that deep-rooted sense of identity. And it is this deeper connection with the arts experience that creates genuine engagement. Audience experience, therefore, is at the heart of successful audience development, because this is what we trade on. But we don't have a monopoly on experience. So allow me here to give you a little bit of context and broaden your bandwidth by saying that we don't just operate in the arts and cultural sector, and we're not just part of the leisure or tourism economy. We sit within a much larger economy, which is the experience economy. In a society where there is an abundance of choice, brands such as Nike, Starbucks, Lego and Apple, and many, many others are leaders in developing the customer experience as their unique selling point. And other businesses are following suit, so much so that we now every day are being bombarded with a plethora of commercial experiences. Business is creating immersive, engaging, emotionally rewarding experiences to achieve the holy grails of profit and customer loyalty. And in the process, they are changing our expectations and even our experiential sensibilities. And we are becoming more exacting and demanding of the experiences that we buy into. People are craving experiences, and companies are cashing in. You can buy them online or packaged up for Christmas. People are craving authenticity and meaning, and companies are cashing in with experiences that help you live your values. People are craving technology and convenience, and companies are cashing in with a dizzying array of technology that has the early adopter spinning on his heels. And people are craving connection, community, and identity. And companies are cashing in with branded events that deliver fabulous experiences for communities of interest. And there are infinite choices out there with a seemingly endless emergence of more desirable experience offers. And the arts is simply another choice in this rapidly expanding marketplace. And other successful brands are setting increasingly high standards for our audience's expectations. Just on the level of service delivery, not even looking at the arts. When someone goes to your theatre or gallery, they might be comparing your staff with those at the local supermarket or a visitor attraction. They might be comparing the overall atmosphere and vibe of your buildings with their favourite restaurant, or the degree to which you make them feel welcome and valued with a hotel or an Apple store, or their box office experience with their preferred bank or travel agents. So in the face of this, how are we responding as arts marketers? Well, in my experience, we treat our audience a bit like cows. Audiences are perceived as a selection of different breeds and are communicated with as herds. We're very fond of putting our audiences into neat little compartments, marketing segmentation, whilst an important element of the marketing process is dangerously reductive when it comes to shaping audience experiences. It also deludes us into thinking that we know our audiences, that we know them because of their arts preferences, their booking patterns, where they live, and their socio-economic status. And this can make us very prescriptive in the way that we program, package, and sell the arts experience. It's not very good at encouraging us to build genuine, meaningful relationships with people, audiences, or communities, which is at the heart of audience development. It is very seductive as a sales tool, and of course, this is important given the current economic and funding climate. But this climate leads to a situation where many venues focus on their business needs, what they need to survive. This focus on the financial bottom line forces them into a particular relationship with their audiences, the audience value to them. If you truly want to develop your audiences, whether they're first-time attenders, repeat attenders, lapsed attenders, whether it's about people who've never come before, what you need to focus on first is their needs. You focus first on creating value. Value creation and revenue generation are interdependent. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot capitalize on a product that you haven't striven to develop in the first place. So it's really important. And your value is your audience experience. Because that's your product. That is what people are buying. And if you don't focus on crafting this value, how are you going to be able to grow and develop audiences and build meaningful relationships with them? So what do I actually mean by audience experience? Well, I'm going to give you a little definition. This is just 3 dimensions of experience, but it's 3 that are probably most relevant within an audience development context. So the audience experience is the end-to-end interaction between an arts organisation and a customer. This is about duration. This is about time, where the experience starts and ends. Does it begin with a direct mail letter or a review? Does it begin when someone casually walks into your gallery for the first time because it's raining and they just want somewhere to be where they can keep dry? Where does it end? Does it end when they leave the auditorium or gallery? Does it end when they move out of the area? You need to think about all these things. And what do you put in place to extend the duration of your relationship with your audiences, in order to extend your lifetime value to them and thus their lifetime value to you? Secondly, audience experience is the blend of the organization's physical, artistic, and human performance, the senses stimulated, the emotions evoked, the learnings, meanings, and impacts created. This is about the unique blending of your environmental, i.e. your buildings, your operational, your human and artistic processes, and how they interact with the different people who come into contact with your offer. It's about all that fuzzy, intangible, human stuff that is the stuff of life, that is so important to creating value and which can generate emotion, meaning, shift in some way, growth. And finally, all of this is intuitively measured against audience expectations across all moments of contact. So this is how you position your work. This is where marketing comes into play. The expectations set by your marketing and communications, all muddled in with people's perceptions and preconceptions of your offer, and then how you perform. So what we tend to find in a lot of arts marketing is people tend to overpromise and underdeliver. They're so desperate to get people in, they'll make lots of promises. You get emotional hyperbole in the direct mail letters, and people come with a very high set of expectations, and it's not delivered in the actual experience, and you lose them. So what I like about this definition is it means that your audience experience is the responsibility of everyone, from the artists and programmers to the people responsible for your buildings, your marketing, and all your frontline staff. So if we're agreed that audience experience is your core product offer, and that there is a direct line from A, your audience experience, to B, retaining and developing audiences, why aren't organizations strategically planning those experiences? From the tone of voice and style of your marketing and communications, to how you create, curate, and commission programs of work. From the audience experience of walking into your building for the first time, to how your staff interact with them and anticipate their needs and concerns. From how you plan to support them to get the most from their arts encounter, to continually seeking ways to encourage deeper engagement, participation, and ownership. And from rewarding them for their friendship to developing advocates who share and serve your cause. Why is it that we don't have a holistic, organization-wide, strategic audience experience strategy so that we can shape this long-term value? Because without it, you're leaving it to chance. And this is like leaving your programming to chance or your business plan. You're literally gambling with your product offer and your audiences. So for the last 3 years, I've been working to help organisations meet their audience development needs through a focus on the audience experience. In doing so, what I want to ensure is that the arts and cultural sector can compete with the ever-expanding experience economy by designing and delivering strategic value as a vehicle for successful audience development. And after years of agonising, going into hibernation, meltdowns, wondering how on earth I'm going to do this, I boiled it down to a very, very simple model. In essence, it's about value creation by design. And it's not my brainchild. Well, I'm a magpie. I pull things from all over the place, like ingredients, and then I make a dish out of them. So some of the things that have informed my thinking with this is design thinking, customer experience management, service design, and good old Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And just reconceptualize them for an arts context. So the first building block is in value creation is core purpose. And Heather alluded to this. This is the why behind what you do. Why do you exist? What is the purpose? What is the change that you want to make with the audiences and communities that you serve? And how is that expressed as audience experience? How does it live off-plan into the real three-dimensional world? And it's a little bit like Pilates. Without this strong core, without really understanding your core purpose, everything else is a little bit flabby. Nothing else flows from this strong core. Next comes insight. The only way we can understand how to create and deliver value is through understanding our audiences. And this gives us the human context. Value, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder, not the creator. So we need to focus more on the beholders, our audiences and communities, to understand the real and potential value of your offer to them, and then use that insight not to direct, but to inform how we develop high-value experiences to develop audiences. Are you with me? Another element, and this is some of the tools we'll be going on to this afternoon, is experience design. Experience design enables you to create customer value by designing their physical and emotional journey through your experience offer. I'm not talking about micromanaging, I'm not talking about Big Brother, I'm not talking about being an artistic dictator. It's about craft and empathy and context and combining that with artistry. And innovation is another key concept behind value creation. This is where you apply creative thinking techniques to the insights gained in order to develop new opportunities. At its core, it's about reimagining what is possible. And then we come full circle. But this is not the end. This is not a project, as Heather was saying. This is your DNA. This is a continuous process that becomes a core function of your organisation. And what you do is you create a value feedback loop. You keep going back to insights to find out if you are creating the value you intended, and whether the unintended value that you've been created for audiences is something that you want to build on and embrace. So what we're talking about here is a total quality management of the audience experience. And it works something like this in terms of another model. You have to work from the inside out and from the outside in. So A here is for the arts institution. Once you know your core values and your core purpose, you know what it is that you want to achieve artistically. And those are the things that you want to do. But you then need to understand and empathise with the different contexts, needs, drivers, life goals, value sets of your audiences and communities. And this is what they need and want from their perspective. And sometimes what you want and what they want meet. And that's great, because you're delivering value. But of course, it's not just about giving audiences what they want. That would make you a commercial organisation. Yeah, not an artistic organisation. So there will be things that you want that they've never even thought of. And what you have to do is to design the stretch. In what ways can we stretch or develop our audiences so that we can engage them with the things that we believe are important? And without knowing where your audience is coming from, you don't know how elastic this stretch is. So you can overstretch them and the relationship will snap, or you can understretch them and only take them so far and you're not delivering on your core purpose. Similarly, listening to your audiences means that there'll be things that they want that you've never thought of. Imagine that. So your audiences is also there to stretch you. So what we're talking here, what we're talking about is mutual value creation for you and for them. Does everybody get that? Yeah? Okay. Don't laugh at my skirts. Really don't laugh. Okay, I've got a new skirt and I can't walk in it, so stop it. All right, stop it. So how do you manage all this? It's all great to have a model, but what you need is a plan. So I call this the audience experience plan, but you can call it an audience development plan or an audience engagement plan, or you can call it whatever you like. I don't care as long as you have one. And this plan enables you to create and manage value for your business, your audience, and your communities without milking the market. It's mission aligned, flowing directly from your mission, vision, values. The plan relies on a holistic approach with all the departments working together to serve the common purpose, audience development. That's the common purpose. It's also about audience focus, which is about intentionality. What are the specific intended experiences and impacts you want to create for audiences that delivers on your mission and meets their needs? And this is important because without an articulation of your specific intended audience experiences, and for that read product, your core product, how will you know how to behave and what to do? And how will you know if you've achieved success? It also needs to be artistically driven. This is about creating, commissioning, curating and presenting work of the highest quality whilst ensuring that your program of work serves your experiential goals. And this will support sustainability because it will help you attract, retain, engage and deepen relationships with audiences, which is always good for business. So the experience plan is a detailed outline of how you will create value for your audiences, who that value is for specifically, your target segments, so to speak, and what kind of value that is. The plan acts as a touchstone between your organization and your audiences. It's the audience lens through which all your services and outputs go through. And it is a filter through which all your departments pass. If anything you do as an organization, no matter how good it is for business, undermines the audience experience in any way, you should seriously question whether to go ahead with it and put it back into the improvement program till it does create value for your audiences. It's also important to note here that you need to be canny and figure out which of those experiences are worth investing in. You can't just do it all. There's too much. So you need to think strategically about how they meet your goals. So marketing managers are a bit like being a conductor. The musicians are your staff teams. And I'm not just talking about marketing teams here now. I'm talking about the whole organisation. The score written up there is your audience experience plan. The notes that you hear are the outputs via all your staff and departments. And the music is the experience. The conductor, the head of the audience experience, has his ear or her ear to the tune. The conductor needs to combine a focus on each individual note whilst being attuned to the whole symphony, sweating every detail of the overall experience to ensure harmony. Way over time. Okay, so moving quickly on then to experience design. If you remember the model of strategic value creation, this is just one element. But this is the element I'm focusing on today because I can share some simple practical tools that you can use. And basically, experience design is a largely workshop-based, hands-on, practical, physical process. My role is to facilitate guiding teams through this process as a means of crafting optimal experiences for audiences. And it begins with step one, developing personas. Personas are fictional characters that represent a core audience type. They could be existing or potential audiences. And they will be different for different venues, depending on your social economic context, your mission, your programs of work. I'm working on a long-term audience engagement initiative in 4 remote towns and cities in Australia, and each of them have very different personas. In the outback, 3 of the key personas are young, cash-rich, fly-in, fly-out workers who come to work on the iron ore industry, rich mums looking to develop their creative selves because their husbands are earning the money, they have lots of empty time, and grey nomads. Grey nomads are early retireds or retired people, Australians, who rent a camper van for a year to travel the island, and they're hungry for experience. Meanwhile, down in the rural city of Wangaratta, in between Melbourne and Sydney, the personas we've developed there are good time teenagers and empty nesters. You know what an empty nester is, yeah? When you've raised your family, your children have left home, and suddenly the backbone of your lives has completely changed. So empty nesters seeking purpose because they're not nurturing anymore. The one thing, so the best personas are those that are based on rigorous insight rather than internal assumptions. And the one thing personas are not are target markets. Whilst target markets are largely a marketing tool to help get audiences in, personas are an organisational tool that help you design experiences to ensure that once marketing's got them in, have such a good time, they actually come back. So looking at these concert attenders, they broadly represent a target market based on art form preference, but they're in different life stages, they have different backgrounds, they're looking for different things from life, and they may have a different attitude to the arts. So as a result, they have different experiential needs when it comes to the arts itself. They're looking for different types of value, some of which may not just simply be centred on the music. So here's a very simplistic representation of a persona. Here's Brenda. She's active, in her 50s. She's an empty nester. She's single. She has a moderate income. She's educated to degree level. She subscribes to local theatre, and she's self-improving. What do you think she needs from her perspective? Read between the lines. What can you deduce from those simple facts?
Losing control a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yes. So if you're losing control, what do you do about that? If you have a void, if you can't control the things you used to control, you need to bring something in there. My God, empty nesters and early retireds, the best target market ever, especially because they're baby boomers. We've got 20 years ago, we didn't have baby boomers, did we? We wrote them off. But we shouldn't write them off anymore. They're actually the most vibrant target market we could ever go for. Because they've done everything. They want new stuff. They're susceptible to risk. They're brilliant. And I'm one of them. Oh my God. So reading between the lines, Brenda, if you empathise, if you go beyond the raw data, we can say that Brenda wants to feel special and valued because she doesn't have a family at home anymore. She doesn't even have a husband. She wants to be well taken care of when she goes out into her social and leisure experiences because she spent her whole life taking care of everybody else and there's nobody there to take care of her. She wants a cultural experience because she's hungry for life, but she also wants to be listened to, she wants to be sociable, she wants to make friends, she has a fear of going or looking alone. So now here's the shift from targeting them to get them to see something to shaping an experience that creates value for them so they adopt your brand. You see the difference? And empathy is at the heart of it. So the wonderful thing about personas is once you have an internal suite of personas for your organisation, again, not a targeting tool, just an understanding of the key characteristics of your audience types. It helps you get rid of internal assumptions and myths. The curator goes, well, I know that our audience is blah-de-blah-de-blah. So, yeah, but what about Brenda? What about John? What about little Johnny? Yeah, these are all the people that we're serving. It gives you, your organisation, a shared view of audience types. It's not now about statistics. It's not about market penetration. It's about human beings. It ensures that you have your intended audience in mind with everything that you do, from programming to menu planning to marketing to audience engagement programs. It provides a reality check for pet projects and strong personalities. So you might have to say, I'm going to program this really weird thing because I think there's a need for it with our audience. You go, well, let's have a look at our audience, shall we? So in what ways does this meet the needs of these 7 core audience types that we're after? Whether they're existing audiences or audiences we want to bring into the brand. And it prevents the project from going elastic. And what I'm talking about here is shrinkage, that you have an understanding of your audience and you develop a big project. And then time starts to run out. Resources start to run out. You lose energy. You lose a bit of focus, and your understanding of those audience needs start to contract to fit what you're able to deliver, rather than keeping firm to your purpose, that this is the value that you set out to create in the first place. So once you've got your personas, you need to then understand the audience experience from their perspective. And to do that, you need to break it down into manageable chunks. This is where the durational element comes in. So I want to share a simple model of one type of customer journey, the first-time attender. So there's expectation setting, where they come across your offer. It could be advertising, promo material, your communications, which you have control of. It could be word of mouth reviews, social media, which you have less control of, okay? And perhaps as a result of that, especially if they're first-time attenders, they want to develop their knowledge a bit more before committing. So they might go to your website, or they might call you, they might read other reviews or look on social media. And then if a purchase is required, there's purchase interaction, which it goes through various channels, online, phone, or in person. All of those are experiences that can be designed and managed. Yeah, and then you have it, yeah, the vehicle, the art housed in the building or in a landscape or whatever it is. So here you've got the art, the building, its ambience, the decor, services, facilities, access, human interaction, and the behaviour of others. This is what they're actually buying into. It could even be an accidental encounter. You can still shape that experience. And then afterwards, there's a bit that we don't really think about very much, which is a post-experience review, that actually whatever happens to them has an impact. And this impact absolutely impacts on their propensity to re-engage with you. It's more about the experience, less about the marketing. And they can revise their expectations upwards or downwards based on the things that go right or wrong with your experience offer. So once you've decided on a little chunk of experience you want to work on, let's say the first 3 minutes in your building. The first 3 minutes when someone walks into, before they even encounter the arts. Let's just go for that one. And what you do is you deconstruct it and you look at all the touch points that they come into contact with in those first 3 minutes. And touch points are a wonderful thing because most of us don't even know how many touch points there are. I did an exercise in Belfast just the day before yesterday. I got arts organisations to touch point map the first 3 minutes in their building. And after 10 minutes, they'd got about 10. And then they saw this, and for some it went up to 30, 35, 40 touch points. They just hadn't thought of it in this way. And remember, every single touch point is a tool in the creation of the audience experience. This is your toolkit. Yeah, your carpets, your lighting, your program, your brochures, your people, all those things are all part of your audience experience as much as the art itself. It's holistic, it's seamless, and yet within our organisations they're incredibly siloed off. And it's the accumulation of touch points across the customer life cycle, whether it's one visit or a lifetime value of art, that defines your audience experience and brand experience. So here are some of our workshops. This is Adrian, Head of Operations at Imperial War Museum North. And this is the catering team at Key Arts Centre in the Isle of Wight. And what they're doing is deconstructing different chunks of their audience experience. And what they realised was that some are planned and some are unplanned. Some are positive and some are negative. Some are controlled, but the vast majority are uncontrolled. So what we do is we track and evaluate those touch points to assess which work, which don't work, and why. You evaluate your touch point performance through customer journey mapping. This is where you literally walk in the shoes of your audience with your persona in mind. So you could do the same exercise with different personas. And this is another exercise that we'll be doing. So here are your touch points. Here's the persona with their context, because obviously you bring your personality, your fears, your concerns with you. This is why you need to understand your personas first. And then if this is the best experience ever, and this is a terrible experience, and this is the humdrum zone of customer satisfaction, which makes you forgettable. Remember that. Customer satisfaction makes you forgettable. You then chart their interior journey through these touch points to figure out what's going on. Customer journey mapping. And it allows you to empathize with how you're performing as an organization on whatever element, whether it's an audience engagement initiative, a post-show talk, your online user functionality when you're booking a ticket. It can be any element of experience, and this is how you work on it. So customer journey mapping enables you to evaluate touchpoint performance, prioritize the most relevant ones to drive audience behavior and impacts, refine and develop existing touchpoints, and create new touchpoints to enhance your value offer. So just to give you an example of some of the contexts in which I've applied this, I've worked on the foyer development at Imperial War Museum North, both as a means to prepare people for the experience ahead in the galleries, but also to maximise revenue pre and post visit. I've worked with Melbourne Arts Centre on customer journey mapping to develop their membership experience and thus generate new members and increased revenue. I've developed a visitor experience blueprint for the whole of the new National Football Museum in Manchester. And I've worked with the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester to assess and improve the family experience during a Christmas show, before the show, during the interval, and afterwards. Okay? And I'm currently working on this audience engagement programme in Australia using experience design to work with specific communities and making sure the engagement is relevant both to mission and to audiences. So now you've developed your personas, you've mapped the touch points, you've customer journey mapped what is, yeah? Now you need to optimize what you've got, yeah? You need to proactively shape the experience. So one of the ways you can do this is to look at all the things that work, the hug. Yeah, I've got a hug in there too, Heather. So you get the hug and you figure out how can we make that better? How do we raise the hug? But you also look at the pain points and you seek to eliminate the pain points. So you're raising everything up. This is what I call pushing experiential performance. You're pushing your product performance at every touch point. And you design for efficiency, delight, and relevancy. Efficiency, delight, and relevancy at each of these points. And then you can have fun reimagining what the audience experience could be. What are you doing? What you do here is you explore the potential for more and new value creation and delivery. You need to look beyond what is to what could be. So I use a process here called creative problem solving, which is another 6-step process to encourage arts organisations to think creatively. Most people think they don't need this because they think they're already creative. Let me tell you, that is not the case. So you might frame the problem as a positive question. So here are some questions. Just imagine the answers if we were going to spend a day on these questions. In what ways might we create more value for first-time attenders to world music? In what ways might we add to the social experience in our venues to generate revenue? In what ways might we meaningfully engage our audiences after the event? And in what ways might we address first-time attenders' lack of confidence in our concert hall? So it all depends on the question. And suddenly you've got infinite possibilities. And the wonderful thing is that ideas are risk-free. They're just ideas, they're just a poof. And yet we're so scared to have them. Give yourself permission to have the ideas. And then through the process of creative problem solving, you can put them into themes and clusters, decide which of the ideas that fit best with your personas. Oh, it's gone now. With your personas and with your mission. Yeah. And then you develop initial ideas, prototype ideas of how you're going to engage your audiences. But once you've done that, do you go straight ahead and do it? No. You prototype. Prototype is a way to quickly and cheaply make your ideas tangible. You fail early. You fail cheaply, and you fail well before you've committed the budgets. So here's an example of a team creating prototypes for a family audience engagement program at Royal Exchange Theatre. And this was about empathising with how do you engage audiences with the brand experience of a producing theatre? Well, you get them to wear theatrical costumes and give them a context, but you carefully plan it so that they can actually make those linkages. And then once you've got to your next stage of prototype ideas, you test them on the audiences to make sure that your internal assumptions are verified by what the audience wants. So in the top left-hand corner, we've got audiences evaluating a dedicated area that we created called the Rat's Lair. The two on the right, where children are actually testing a trail that we made around the building, so that they could combine the magic of the building, because it's this beautiful historic venue, the magic of the building with the magic of the theatre. But also, as part of this trail, we put in pictures of some of the people that have trod the boards in the theatre, including Matt Smith, who was the previous Doctor Who, and that gave the kids an electric shock of celebrity gorgeousness and made them realise that even actors like Matt Smith had been in this theatre and performed on that stage, and we hooked them in. And in the bottom left-hand one, we're trying out sample food, silly naming, and all kinds of crafts activities. But the point I'm trying to make here is that experience design is what we're trying to do is we're trying to design experiences with the same care and attention as a choreographer or maker, because it's critical to the success of audience development. We achieve this by creating a design playground that engages staff across teams to develop enhanced customer value, designed to deliver on specific intended audience experiences that flow from the audience and organisational mission. All my work is with cross-departmental teams, and it's a co-creational process. And the beauty of this is that it makes audience experience and audience development professionally relevant for everybody in your organisation. Because it is. They're all responsible for it. One of my next aims is to find brave organisations who want to take this model further and co-create with audiences rather than simply use them as the expert critics of internally developed ideas. But lastly, audience experience design is not just a means to an end. It's a professional development and organisational transformation tool. The aim is to enable organisations to be outwardly focused and inwardly strong, to unlock different ways of making decisions and doing work, to engage and empower teams who are now the creative producers of the brand experience, in whatever capacity, and to develop the capabilities and creative muscle to keep making and iterating and evolving those experiences. Essentially, it's about embedding the new competencies required in the arts in order to help us develop audiences within the context of the experience economy. And those are the steps which I'll be sharing with you later on this afternoon, should you choose to come along. So, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Amazingly interesting that Heather